Hello everyone, this is Marco, I'm the founder of Xcrafts, and in this video I'd like to give you an overview of all the features that we have in our ERJ family for X-Plane. So let's start by going to the top of the screen. Here you have a drop-down menu in which you can access the tech support or frequently asked questions on our website. You can also access the EFB pop-up or the settings menu. So let's check out the settings menu now. Think of this as a configuration menu related to your flight sim experience, meaning these are settings that the pilots would normally not be changing in real life, so that is why we have a separate menu for them. Once you set your default preferences, you won't have to open this menu again unless you want to change your default preferences again. The direct keyboard entry key setting allows you to change which key you want to use to toggle the direct keyboard entry for the FMS, which I'll talk about later. We know that some users need a tab key for some other application, so you can change it from tab to caps lock. You can change the way units from metric to imperial. Then we have pause at top of descent. This means that the sim will pause right before you reach top of descent, and that allows you to pretty much walk off while you're in cruise. You can have dinner if you want to, and then you can come back and unpause the sim and start your descent. Then we have a bunch of other settings. For example, you can set what kind of avionics version you'd like to be using. You can select between load 25 and load 27 version, where load 27 is the newest version. Keep in mind though that this is only a visual change for the PFD. Everything in the plane from the FMS to the autopilot is set based on load 27. You can also select if you want to use wheel covers, or on the E175 you can also have the option for extended winglets, which if you select you'll see outside, and you'll also have a sticker right here. We also have a sound tab here where you can change any additional sound settings. Next, let's have a look at the EFB. This is where you will interact with the ground services. You also have access to the weight imbalance, takeoff performance and landing performance calculations. You have checklists, and you also have access to Avitab if you have Avitab installed. I will be making a separate video about the EFB where I will go into more detail. For now, let me just say that you can also hide the EFB if you don't want it by clicking on the chart holder underneath. And you can also pop it up into separate 2D window by clicking on the home button. You can also assign a key on your keyboard, which will then toggle the EFB pop-up. You can do that by going to the X-Plane settings, keyboard, and just type in EFB here, and then you can assign whatever key you want to use. Okay, so let's close that and let's have a look at the FMS. So here, I'm not going to talk about how to use the actual FMS, I'm only going to mention how to interact with it. So if you click in the middle of the screen, you can get a pop-up view of the FMS, which you can resize, or you can also pop it out into a separate window. And then we can also pop out our main screens here if you click directly in the middle of them. Now, if you'd like to use direct keyboard entry, meaning if you want to use your keyboard to type directly into the EFB or the FMS scratchpad, you can do that. If you want to do that on the EFB, you have to click on the screen and you will then get a blue border which indicates that the focus of your keyboard is in the EFB. So if you click on any key on your keyboard and you're expecting to do something outside of the EFB, for example change your views or something like that, it will not work while you have the blue outline. So if we click here, we can now enter the values. And if you click outside of the tablet screen, that disables the focus on the EFB, and you can then use your keyboard for everything else. With the FMS, it's similar. If you click directly into the scratchpad area, that will toggle the direct keyboard entry, and it will also show you a blue circle in the top left corner, indicating that if you type something, it will now be typed into the scratchpad. Plus you will get this beeping noise that will remind you that DKE is on. You can also enable or disable the FMS direct keyboard entry for the left MCDU by hitting Tab on your keyboard. If you hit it once, you will enable it. If you hit it again, you will disable it. And if you want to enable DKE for the right MCDU, just click into the scratch pad area with your mouse. And if you have the FMS in the pop-up view, it works the same way. So if you hit Tab once, you will enable it. If you hit Tab again, you will disable it. And now I would like to talk about all the manipulators, so all the moving parts in the cockpit. There are many parts that you can move around. For example, you can open the windows, you can move the pilot seat or stow the armrests, you can hide the yoke, you can toggle the sunshades, you can even open the jump seat or the cockpit door. By the way, if you ever see a QR code, they're all over the plane. I encourage you to go and scan them because you'll either find something interesting about how we created this part of the plane, or an Easter egg, or some other information that we really want to share with you. All the doors around the plane can be toggled by just clicking on them, or you can also do it on the EFB if you go to the ground services. And another thing you can do is, if we hide the EFB, you'll also be able to toggle the sunshades for the side windows, or you can also toggle the sunshades for the front windshield if you click on the sunshades that are stowed next to the flashlight near the pedals. And we can even check the oxygen. Right guys, that's pretty much it for the introduction of the cockpit features. I hope that this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Hey, before you go, I would love to ask you something. Do you ever wonder how we create these digital planes that you fly on a daily basis? Why is the sim crashing sometimes? Or why is the performance of some add-ons much worse than others? These and many more topics are all part of our Not a newsletter. If you join our community, you will learn all about it. Plus, you will be able to tell us directly how we can improve your flight sim experience. So make sure to get your first Not a newsletter by signing up below.